Thank you to our sponsors for today's video, Nokian Tyres, Amber, InfyPower, and StarCharge. Nokian Tyres is a leader in safety and sustainability. Maximize performance and efficiency with their made in USA all-season tires and their dedicated Hakkapeliitta EV winter line from the inventor of the winter tire. Learn more at nokiantires.com/EV. Also, our sponsor Amber offers a modern extended warranty for your Tesla's battery and more without the burden of long-term contracts or upfront payments. Check out the link in the description below to browse their plan options and get started with a free over-the-air diagnostic check. InfyPower is the largest EV charger module provider with over 3 million power modules running reliably worldwide. Their latest G2 collection features ultra-high power density and efficiency for EV charging and energy storage integration. InfyPower, innovation for your power. And StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world, and is also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage, as well as microgrid solutions. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video, and welcome to the brand new Tesla Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive on aero wheels. You can imagine what we're doing here at our typical charging station. We are going on a range test of the new Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive. There's two different battery variants in this car. We're going to get into a lot of the minutia of the exact spec on this car. But we've also brought along a 2021 Tesla Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive in the identical configuration with my friend Jordan behind the camera, the identical battery pack as the new car. So we're gonna go on a little side-by-side range and efficiency test of the new versus the old Tesla Model 3 long-range dual motor all-wheel drive variants. I'm really hoping for a big number out of that car. My friend Andreas owns the new Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive, and he has just been raving about the range. Well, he came from an old, degraded 2021, or maybe even 2019 Model 3 Standard Range?
Standard Range Plus, yeah.
Standard Range Plus. So, you know, this is a huge upgrade. So I want to know if it's all in his head or if the new car really is magically efficient like he claims.
So, if you are just here for the results, let me tell you, 370 miles is how far I drove in Andreas's new Model 3 all-wheel drive. That's crazy. Past EPA, blew past EPA, which is not like pretty much any other Teslas. Of course, EPA testing has changed, like we'll go into in this video. Kyle did 296 in Colton's, which is the old Model 3. Same spec again, everything's the same, batteries, motors, as far as we know, everything's the same. It's just aero and tires. A bunch of little things make noticeable differences. But the 74-mile difference in what we did, we're actually going to take into account degradation on Colton's car, because that one had 30,000 miles. Andreas's car only has 6,000 miles, so definitely a bit more degradation. So factoring that in, we had about 3 kilowatt hours less that Kyle wasn't able to use, I guess, because of degradation. 2.8, maybe 2.9. So factoring all that in, the actual number he probably would have gone is 310 miles at 70. That still equals a 60-mile difference between these two cars, which is way more than we expected. That's the result. That being said, we'd still really appreciate it if you do watch this video, watch how it all unfolds, watch how we rescue 2 completely dead Teslas off the side of the road, watch what the cars do below zero, because not many people are testing now below zero, and we're going to try to test everything, see what happens when each car actually dies. Thanks for watching. Let's jump into the rest of the film.
Jordan, you will be taking the viewers on the range test of the new Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive. That is the main purpose of this video.
That's right. And with Andreas not here, I won't be tempted to stop for food, so we'll be fine.
Exactly, yes. Because you and Andreas and my dad, when we did the cross-country trip, just went restaurant to restaurant. You forgot we were racing electric
Chargers,
cars.
what?
Yeah. So let's run through the spec on this car. This is long-range dual motor. This was actually before the long-range rear-wheel drive just came to market.
Like a couple weeks. And he was like, oh crap, I gotta get the rear-wheel drive one now, because Andreas is obsessed with range.
Yes, all he cares about is range. All we care about is charging performance. Andreas is like, I don't care if it charges at 50 kilowatts. He wants the range. But that's great. Difference in EV opinion. Love it. So he spec'd the aero wheels which are the 19-inch wheels. They come on the Hankook Ventus S1 all-season tires. It's a Tesla optimized tire, and it has the Panasonic battery, Jordan. We've tested on this channel, and maybe we should run side by side. We have a friend of ours who has the LG version.
Right.
And this is the time period where you have to tell Tesla that you qualify for the federal tax credit for them to give you one of the good ones, one of the Panasonic cars, because they charge better. They're just, you know, a little bit spicier, power output, stuff like that. The all-wheel drives are rated for the same power, but the Panasonic is the battery you want. The LG is the battery you don't want. And this one has the Panasonic because we helped Andreas say you get the tax credit, they give you the good car. White on white in configuration, and the EPA range for this car is, Jordan?
341?
Yeah, 341, 342, something like that.
340s.
Oddly, yeah, I don't have the website pulled up anymore. Oddly, the old 2021 Model 3, this is Colton's car, it's actually going in off lease. It's not a super fair comparison, Jordan, because this car just ticked over 30,000 miles, which is still pretty fresh.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to be doing a degradation test as part of this video, and I'm guessing it's lost about 5 to 7% capacity. The Model 3 that we're testing, the new one, only has 5,000 miles on it. Perfectly fresh, ready to rock and roll. So that's where it's more of an efficiency comparison.
Yep.
But we could extrapolate a bunch of data at the end to see how far this would have gone if it was freshy fresh. This car had an EPA range of over 350 miles, more than the new car. What's up with that?
Yeah, not much more, but a little more. But the EPA testing has changed, which is really probably why that is.
Absolutely.
It got more strict, and so that's why this one has a little bit worse of a number according to the EPA, but we're expecting a better number today.
Yes, absolutely. So the old car is rated for more range, at least when Colton took delivery, of over 350 miles. But this is the more efficient car, we imagine. Tesla claimed, I remember reading through when I initially filmed this car, about a 7% range improvement using pretty much the same motors, same battery, same everything when compared with the old car. So I'm expecting a big number out of this one today. Right. It might seem a little bit windy, but it's really not. Perfect conditions, almost 80 degrees, very little wind. And I'm thinking this is going to go well over 300 miles. At least it better.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So that's going to be really cool to see how far this thing goes. And we're also going to run them till they stop moving, till they die.
Yep.
So on the old car, wheels and tires have changed. That's part of the optimizations with the retrofit. This is on the OE Michelin Primacy MXM4 tires. That was correct for the time period. Again, a Tesla optimized tire. But people don't realize how much tire technology has improved or is improving year by year. And a lot of the reason the new car gets a lot more range is down to the tire. So of course, if you were to swap that wheel and tire onto this car, you'd probably get more range.
You'd probably get that car's EPA number.
I don't know about that, Jordan. Not 350.
Yeah, you're right.
But it should be kind of interesting. So essentially, we're going to charge them up. They're at the same temperatures. We have ScanMyTesla in both cars. We're able to log everything. We're charging them to full, driving them at 70 miles an hour until they stop moving. We'll then charge them off the side of the road, or on the side of the road with the Cybertruck, and then get them back here once they're dead. Then we're going to do 10% challenge and charging and everything else to make sure, you know, there's no more differences beyond these things. But it's really a new Model 3 long range video, range test in the context of the old car. So, ready, Jordan?
Let's do it.
By the way, I just want to reiterate to the viewers, both of these cars, I think, use the same motors, Jordan. I could be wrong, but they're both permanent magnet rear, induction front. They have the identical Panasonic battery pack. Obviously, this has some more mileage and age. I'm guessing about 5 to 7% degradation, somewhere around there. Colton's taken care of it from year 2 onwards, but the first year he would full charge it and 90% charge it all the time. But then since then it's sat, you know, around 50%, 30 to 50 since he got to know us.
not much degradation, but yeah.
Yeah, not much, but it is, you know, to be completely fair, we would use 2 cars with the same age and mileage, but it's just not possible when we're comparing generations. What will be possible is to look at the efficiency difference, and then we can extrapolate that over usable energy capacity of whichever car you choose. So anyway, they're both at 90% DC charging to full. We have just enough time to go get some lunch. Let's do it. Jordan, we have ScanMyTesla hooked up in this car through Enhance Auto Sexy buttons. Shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
By the way, not sponsored, but we love the sexy buttons because you can configure them to do anything.
Yep.
So you can do like manual preconditioning, Delete autopilot nag. I don't know. Don't do that one. But
Turn signals, you know?
yeah, turn signals. You can actually like put them on the back of the wheel.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have the iPhone version of ScanMyTesla, which is garbage in comparison to the Android one. But let's take a look at some battery stats. So this car has 5,000 miles on it or so.
Yeah, about 5,000. It wants me to play beach buggy racing.
Oh,
There we
okay.
go. 5,800. It's almost 6,000.
Almost six, yeah, I'll have 6,000 by the end of today.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good for where we like to test cars.
Yep.
Let's take a look at the charge history.
So, I'm still learning how to
It's
use
way down.
all of this, but
Yes.
there's so much information.
Oh yeah.
DC charge, we've done 900 kilowatt hours. AC charge is 820 kilowatt hours. Regen, almost 400.
Wow.
Nominal full pack would be 78.6.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And then 74.5 remaining right now.
Yep.
So basically it's another 4.5 kilowatt hours or so. Oh no, just about 4 kilowatt hours till we cut off and it ends charging. And there's an energy buffer of 3.54 kilowatt hours below zero, which we will use all of.
yep.
And so that's where we're gonna run that to dead.
Yep.
So I think we have a pretty good idea of this. I'm pretty sure, so your like nominal full pack is 74 kilowatt hours or so it says. This is the 82.1 kilowatt hour Panasonic pack.
Yeah.
Gross capacity. There's a usable buffer and then there's unusable buffers on top of that. That car I think is about 3 kilowatt hours down on this one.
Yeah, nominal full pack 78.6.
78.6. Okay. Let's go into that car and see what it says for its expected nominal full pack. Now, this is not a great way to judge degradation because you're relying on BMS. And it's pretty accurate, but it's not dead accurate. And so running from full to dead to see how many kilowatt hours we pull out, that's the only way to test degradation. I've just connected sexy buttons, or the commander for the sexy buttons, to ScanMyTesla. We have to go to, yep, so we have 3.33 kilowatt hours of energy buffer. I'm pretty sure you have less or more. You're 3.5?
3.4 something.
Okay, anyway, roughly the same. Nominal full pack is 74 kilowatt hours instead of your 78.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's 4 kilowatt hours down on this one. This car has AC charged a total of 8 megawatt hours, and then DC charging it says 0, but that's got to be a bug because we've DC charged this car many times. There we go, and it's done 3 megawatt hours of regen.
Wow.
So great. Okay, basically it looks like we're, according to the car, about 4 kilowatt hours down, and full pack when new is the same, so same battery pack. So anyway, we can extrapolate this efficiency based off of whatever we get out of your car to assume the range.
Yep.
But we're going to be pretty close.
Pretty
It's not
close.
the end of the world. So let's jump in the cars. I'm at 99%. I think you just hit 99%. We'll shut climate off as soon as we tip to 100, and then we'll hit the road.
So it says charging complete, but it's actually still pulling like 9 kilowatts from the charger itself. So I'm not going to turn off climate quite yet, but just resetting the trip here. He had his last trip that Andreas took to San Luis Obispo, amazing place, but this is range test. Renaming the trip. There we go. That's reset. We'll keep an eye on that to see exactly what happens. And I'm expecting pretty good things. There's a reason Andreas picked this one instead of the Model 3 Performance that we were all trying to talk him into. He wanted maximum range, which is also why he had some hesitation when the rear-wheel drive long range one came out right after he bought this, but I still think he chose the right one. I mean, all-wheel drive performance, the winter performance with all-wheel drive, that's pretty great. This is like the car to buy for most people, I think.
So mine is showing charging complete, but still topping off. Jordan, you're in the same situation, right? Yep. So this is the typical Tesla top charging behavior. So we're going to let it go all the way. If I look at my EPA rated range, which again was based off when this car was in a higher cycle, it's showing 336. However, yeah, it's lost a little bit since new because this was 350 something when new. Jordan, what does your car say for miles?
342.
Ah, nice. So 336 here.
Wow.
And 342 there, but two different EPA tests,
Yep.
which is why you can't ever trust
Never.
the EPA because it's like not a good way to do testing.
Jumping into service mode. There we go. Service. Every car has a different way of doing it. Jump in there, turn climate back on. Let's see what our temperatures are at here. 49 to 54 is the range on the battery.
And we are roughly the same temperature. I'm like 1 degree Celsius warmer on min and max, but I also drove it a bit harder than Jordan to drain the battery, so it makes sense. Jordan can overlay the data right now, but I'm actually over 300 watt hours more than what the BMS imagined was the full pack energy. And so that's why it's important to do degradation testing this way and not to rely on BMS data, because we're already doing better. So you can see charging complete's running 5 kilowatts. Probably 3 of that is to climate and 2 to the battery would be my guess.
We are still here. It's been a while. 2 kilowatts. Trickle charging at this point. It's almost level 1 speeds, but we're just waiting for it to actually complete. It's funny how it says charging complete when it's not quite there. All right, mine just actually completed, dipped down from like 1.1 kilowatts to 0 suddenly, and we shut off all loads, so we're just waiting on yours now.
Yeah, literally just, I think I'm right behind you.
It's so close.
Okay, so ready? 68 auto, low fan, no rear. 3, 2, 1. And I don't think I can shut my passenger vent off in this one. So you have to keep your passenger vent on. Okay, car on, into drive, reset trip.
All right, trip's reset, windows are up, we are off. Identical conditions.
One more thing that shouldn't really make a difference, but I'm gonna go into chill drivetrain. I'll tell Jordan to do the same here in a second. So let's jump onto the highway, 70 mile per hour. As normal, we'll set everything to 71. And we are running side by side. This will be great. We are off. On the road we go. Gentle accelerations as always. We are going to treat this as 70 mile per hour range test procedures. It just has a bit more wind than we would like ideally, but honestly, it's not the end of the world. It is still real world conditions, but we try to eliminate as many variables as possible. So just gentle throttle as we make our way up to speed. We'd like to hit 70 by the end of the on-ramp. 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, lock it in. Autopilot, don't go to 80. There we go. Got to change the autopilot settings for sure. So now we're on. We'll kick on auto steer, and we'll just sit here as usual for the next many hours. And Jordan's right back there. We'll probably flip positions on the return, even though he's far enough away to not get any drafting benefit from me.
And easing up to 70 miles an hour in chill mode, which is nice. This is equipped with full self-driving, but I do not have that currently turned on because all I really want is autopilot for this test. And there we go. 70 miles an hour, which is 71 indicated. We should be good to go. Onwards for maybe 300 something miles. Maybe. I'm guessing 300 on the nose, but I could be more impressed than that. We'll see. Well, just my luck, the semi-truck is blocking my view of the bison up on the hill. We might be able to sneak a peek in on it, but this is basically the border of Wyoming and Colorado, where we like to do a quick efficiency check-in. We've settled it nicely right about 290 watt hours per mile. I say nicely, there it is. There it is. I say nicely, that's about 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour, which is not too bad, not as good as this car will do, but we have been climbing subtle elevation ever since we left. We climbed about 600 feet, I want to say, maybe a bit more even. So we'll probably see this number just continue to improve throughout the rest of the drive for the most part. It's really this first section, which will later be the last section, that's got some decent elevation. Beyond that, we're at 93% state of charge when we pass the Buffalo. So yeah, probably a bit better than Kyle if I had to guess. And that's honestly great. I'm curious to see if we'll do under 250 for watt hours per mile for the whole thing. That'd be 4 miles per kilowatt hour, which is really pretty good. Not quite lucid good, but I could be surprised. We might see better than I expected. And I'm still expecting pretty good things. Like, these cars do seem to be really quite impressive, and it's I'm really picky with a shoulder there. Trying to get away from this truck, and the car was like, hey, don't touch the white line. But by the way, I'm also in autopilot jail, so if that says anything. I checked the Windy app one more time, and yeah, it looks like wind should actually die down a bit throughout the drive, so that's nice. We are now only 36 miles into the test, already settled into under 250 watt hours per mile, which is the magic 4 miles per kilowatt hour. That's so good. I want to point out the lifetime of this car is 230, which is also obviously really good. That's of course all of Andreas's driving. Not sure what speeds he's typically doing, but he's done a number of road trips in this car, which I'm guessing is not all below 70 miles an hour. In fact, a lot of it's probably above that, plus the around town driving. So that's pretty sweet to see. I'll do another check-in, of course, when we get to the Nebraska border as well. But honestly, this is looking like it's going to be a long day for me. Not sure how Kyle's doing up there, but for me, oh my gosh, I'm glad this car is comfortable. Let me say that. At the same time, Kyle is 84% with 305 watt hours per mile. So this car is noticeably better. It's not just a super minor improvement. It's like, that's substantial.
You joined me in the older Model 3. It's amazing how much more energy I'm burning than Jordan back there. Wow, he's like 240 something watt hour per mile. I'm at 306. And normally if we're two different cars, we don't rely on the trip meters, but since they're both Teslas on the same software version, or maybe one difference, this has a minor update that just came this morning, but either way, same meter, same car. That's crazy. Wow. You joined me in the older Model 3, 75% state of charge, 64 miles, 280 watt hour per mile. Still very efficient, doing very well. But I just checked in with Jordan. He's doing way better back there. What? Not even close. Amazing. Way more difference than I thought we were going to see today. So far, we've been really lucky with the wind. We've had very limited wind. And the storm's heading east. So it's like, as we go this way, the wind is also up there somewhere, I don't know, 50 miles ahead of us, but we're actually in pretty mild conditions. So we may actually be lucky enough to log the range number on that dual motor, assuming it doesn't pick up. But I can see just a little bit of leaves flowing on these trees, which is not unusual, but we are getting so lucky compared to what the wind map said. So keep your fingers crossed. So far though, things are going well in this car. I just love Model 3 so much. It's, you know, basic A to B transportation, but they're fast, they're reliable, they, you know, have known issues, but every issue about them has, you know, relatively simple fixes, upper control arms, few things like that. Nothing major. The car's well known, and the powertrains and battery packs just last a long time, and they're reliable. But you also have to give Tesla credit for constantly iterating to improve the vehicle. And you know, lots of little changes from 2021 to 2025 in that case. No, 2024 in that case. And it shows. The numbers don't lie, at least at the moment. Let's see what happens at the end of the test. But I'm enjoying my time in the old Model 3. Still a nice car.
So this just in, we decided to maybe use a looping section with no wind, because we've maybe lucked out. We haven't really had any wind this whole time. It's been very mild, and looking ahead is where all the actual aggressive wind is, up into Nebraska. We are right up here before crossing into the Nebraska border. So we decided to jump off the highway. I'm here at almost 80%, just dipped below 80%. Kyle's way down at 73%, maybe even 72 at this point. So these cars are not as close as I expected. I'm just really blown away by this efficiency. That's 3 2s right there. Over 4 miles per kilowatt hour going into this turnaround here. So we're going to use a less windy section. Actually, very little wind is what we're dealing with right here. And that way we should have very good results. We got a really sweet matte black Cybertruck over here. Nice. And we just saw a trailer of Rivians coming back from the factory at normal, including a Gen 2 R1T, which is sweet. But turning around here, just about 72 miles in, we're going to ease back up to speed. And yeah, maybe just work with a few loops of this giant loop we just did, just because we know the conditions are really nice, and that's really ideal for a really good range test representative measure. But dang, this cruise control keeps defaulting to 80. I got to change that. But jumping back up here, eased onto 71, and Kyle's going to signify I pass him, I'd say. And we're going to just switch places and keep looping onwards, and I'd say upwards, but it's pretty darn flat around here. There we go. He's dropping speed just for a second so I can get past him. That way we're making sure we're not doing any sort of drafting whatsoever, although it should be pretty much negligible because we are keeping at least, you know, 7, 8, 9 car lengths separate from us. But yeah, there's not much to see out here. Sunsets when it gets really beautiful, but right now, middle of the day, It's about 3 p.m., 3:30. Not very interesting. Here we go. 75% state of charge check-in in the new Model 3. You can always tell who's filming what because I have no stocks. Anyways, 229 watt hours per mile. So just a hair, actually, yeah, a few hairs over 4 miles per kilowatt hour, which is fantastic. 84 miles is where we're at. And this just means I have so much driving left to do. Not sure what Kyle's at, but I guess we'll throw that clip in now.
Jordan just hit 75% and I have hit 67%, 280 watt hour per mile. Amazing. Not only the extra capacity, which this car did at one point have that car's capacity, so I don't want to focus too much on the capacity, the state of charge difference in a sense, but the efficiency is what is blowing me away with that new car right up there. Wow. We have hit 50% state of charge. We've traveled 126 miles and 280 watt hour per mile. Jordan's right up there cruising along, doing the same thing. So we're going to stay together as long as possible so we can get a good side-by-side efficiency calculation. And but we're going back to Wellington, U-turn, back up to where we, back up this road, and just looping back and forth, staying out of the big winds so we can get the best numbers possible.
All right, we are turning around here at Wellington. It feels weird to get back here with 58% state of charge, but here we are. So, gonna do basically the same loop again, although I'm just now remembering that this stoplight is terrible, but this person up here has been here for a little bit maybe, so we might have timed this perfectly. Look at that, heck yeah. That is amazing.
270 watt hour per mile. And Jordan's way more efficient. Not only does he have a little bit of a fresh battery, but he's way more efficient. Let's try and make this green light. See you guys heading the other way.
Turning around nicely. That was absolutely perfect time. I can't even elaborate how annoying that stoplight is. And we'll jump back on the highway and just keep looping. Like we have, again, it's like, look, the trees are completely still. There's like maybe 3 miles an hour of wind. So we're going to stay in this windless zone. And that should mean a really great range test, honestly. As our turnaround stats, 222 watt hours per mile yet again, 144 miles driven. So we are looking at, for sure, over 300 miles, if you had to ask me. And that's, yeah, over 4 miles per kilowatt hour. And a long day in this car. Definitely longer than the car that Kyle's in, longer than Colton's car. But he's turning around right behind me. So easing back up to speed, he's easing just a bit faster than me. We are switching places yet again. And once again, defaults to 80. I'm slowing down. What is he doing? I don't know if you can see his turn signals are going crazy. But setting it back to 71 indicated, which we know is 70 GPS. I'm actually gonna drop it off just a little bit here, let him get ahead of me just so we're not doing any sort of drafting. And yeah, just going to keep moving on. It looks like there is some weather that might move in later, but I think we'll probably be done with this range test before it really affects us. So shouldn't be too bad. Going to ease right back up to 71 once again here in just a moment, and continuing on back to Wyoming. Just in and out of Wyoming today is the plan. Not even touching Nebraska.
I just got off the phone with Jordan and he is 18% more efficient than I am. Over 18%, 18.1. That's crazy. We're not going off state of charge in terms of percentage because this car has more degradation. If we just look at the consumed watt hour per mile or miles per kilowatt hour, however you want to think, he is consuming energy 19 and well, it's 18.1% less than I'm consuming energy. And these cars have the same motors, the same battery. That's wild. That is really wild. Props to Tesla for finding almost 20% of efficiency improvement so far on this test. That's wild. Wow.
Well, I just missed 50% because I was so focused on, I guess, the scenery. I don't know, but there's not much change. It's still really efficient. We've gone quite far. Honestly, with the buffer in mind, there is genuinely a chance we'll hit EPA, and that blows my mind. So, because that has never been said with a Tesla before. Like, no Teslas hit EPA. That's just like normal. But EPA's testing has gotten stricter, which means in theory, Tesla's numbers should be closer to accurate than ever before. So we'll see. Will I actually be going double that amount of mileage, which would be EPA? Or is the discharge curve going to be a bit different further down the battery pack? Not really sure yet. That's why we're doing this test. Andreas will, I'm sure, take these numbers and run with them on his next road trip, because he'll know exactly what he can do in his car, which is, I mean, that's part of the reason why we do these anyway. So Kyle's up there now. We've got plenty of space in between us. No chance of wind buffeting or anything like that. So gonna keep going up here, take another turn onto I-80 once again, and just do most of the same loop. Probably won't even go as far, because Kyle has to actually turn around before our other point, because otherwise I don't know if he'd make it back. So we're just gonna go till, I'm gonna follow him just so we have completely the same everything, and then I'll do looping back closer to the charger, because I'll have definitely some more miles to burn.
I'm in the old Tesla, and autopilot just freaked out. It said autopilot aborted for system error. So now I'm doing manual throttle control. Hold it steady, Kyle. Will it come back? What happened? It's not available. I was paying full attention, hands on the wheel, I was driving normally, and then it just went boop, 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 boop. System crashing. Oh no. Now this is a hardware 3 car, and that's a hardware 4 car. But I don't think Jordan had that issue. I think he was in autopilot jail anyway. Don't know. But man, is it hard to keep steady speed. All right, so we're going to turn around not at this exit, which would get us back at 1%. We, of course, have a bit of a buffer below 0, so we're going to go past this one, flip around on the next. Oh, and autopilot just came back right as I was ending that clip. It just had to reboot itself, I guess. I don't know. That was weird. Yeah, all right, we're on the final stretch heading out. We are going to make a U-turn, and we will get there projected 1%. We'll probably die on the next loop. We'll go back to Wellington, make a U-turn, head up, and that's probably where we'll end to get the usable battery capacity number. But so far, so good. Autopilot's back to working, no issues. I guess I just missed the 25% check-in, but we've done 205 miles, let's call it 202 at 25%. But time to flip around. I'm going to let Jordan pass me once we merge onto the highway, and then we'll keep switching positions, and we're going to stay side by side for as long as possible to see the efficiency difference.
I'm at 41% state of charge. Here near the edge of the mountain range over there is like the edge of Nebraska. So we're turning around here, 217 watt hours per mile. This is so impressive. I know I sound like a broken record, or skipping song, or whatever kids listen to nowadays, but turning around here in this incredible new Model 3. I can't even wait to test the rear wheel drive one. Passing Kyle once again, there he is. And we are flipping around. Every time we flip, we just switch places. I mean, there's literally no way we're drafting each other, but you know, it's good effort. So over the cattle guard, back up to highway speeds once again. And yeah, that's some fantastic efficiency. So we are gonna be high, I'd say high 4s for miles per kilowatt hour. Not quite 5, but wow. I'm speechless. Yet again, still speechless.
Cool clouds up in the sky, no rain, everything's looking good. Down to 12% state of charge in the older car, just following Jordan up ahead. Man, this is a great test, and a really, really, okay, a little bit more wind than we would like, but still very cool to be able to run these two cars side by side. I love this.
We have Kyle behind me there in the Model 3 as per usual, but also 25% state of charge as a check-in. This is the last quarterly check-in before we get near the bottom of the pack and see what this car does and how it will die. But we've done 255 miles, averaging now 222 watt hours per mile. So yeah, that's pretty good. Same story, still really good. I don't have much to say other than that. We've I guess burned 57 kilowatt hours. We've been driving for 3 hours 45 minutes. Years makes no difference. So this thing is looking like a 5-hour on one charge situation, which is crazy. So I am fully expecting to see well over 300 miles. In fact, I'm maybe gonna say with the buffer, I'm still gonna say EPA. I should have guessed that at the beginning, but I haven't usually been able to give Tesla that much credit because they just typically never met EPA, not even that close, honestly. So this is really impressive. I'm pretty excited to see this result. Andreas is cheering at his TV watching this right now. Amazing. Just got off the horn with Kyle. I don't know if people say that anymore, but he has 4%. I have 24%. So obviously the percentage is not quite the apples to apples thing, because 6,000 mile car versus like 30,000 mile car. So a bit more degradation on that one, obviously, but the efficiency is really what's different here. 267 watt hours per mile with him, whereas mine at the same time was showing 220. So that's definitely a difference. Roughly not quite 20% difference, but I mean, the difference in the state of charge is 20%, so that does kind of almost equal out. What we're really curious about is, what is the buffer below zero? Will the cars have the same logic before they die? Does he have a smaller buffer, or vice versa? We have no idea. Alyssa is on the way to rescue us in the Cybertruck. We're going to try to level 2 charge these cars on the side of the road after they die. We expect it to be much closer, actually, so this kind of works out in a way. So Kyle will die first, get rescued, charge for, you know, a bit, and then get back to the charger on a little bit of charge. Whereas I will die, hopefully enough later to where there's enough of a buffer, so I'm not just sitting dead on the side of the road for a while. Even if I am, we have a 12-volt battery jump box in case I die. The 12-volt dies immediately, because we've seen that happen, I think, in the Cybertruck. So that could be a Tesla logic situation, but either way, we're prepared.
We are at 3% state of charge. We'll probably be at 2% by the time we have to turn around. So the plan is, Alyssa is currently driving up, pulling into Wellington with the Cybertruck. I'm going to make the loop and head up this way, head north, and she's going to get in behind me. And we're basically going to go until this thing can't maintain 70 miles an hour anymore. And that is when we will log the 70 mile per hour range number. We will then drive until it stops moving entirely. And that is when we will look at how many kilowatt hours we pulled out of the battery pack for our degradation calculation. And so, yeah, 2 different calculations on this car, which will be really fun. The plan will then be to fill this up as soon as possible, as soon as it dies, to get it to the charging station. And then I'll probably leave Alyssa with this car to DC charge a bit. And then I'll run in the Cybertruck to get Jordan off the side of the road in the new Model 3, because we're going to run that to dead, because the wind has been so tame. It's been perfect conditions. We're actually able to get a true 70 mile per hour range test number on that car. We got super lucky with the conditions. We didn't expect it, but it worked out great.
All right, jumping off cruise control for maybe one of the last times for Kyle. And we are at the Wellington exit, which is where the charger is. I have 22%, which means he probably has about 2%. 218 watt hours per mile is what we are looking at right this second. We've done 268 miles. Curious if our odometers are identical. They should be, but that would be interesting if they weren't. But our speeds and everything seem to match as well. So back at the horrible intersection, there goes Alyssa in the Cybertruck. She will be the rescue for both of us, but first Kyle, because he will run out first. And I'm genuinely curious to see what his actual, what his car does at low state of charge. So following the Cybertruck.
I'm at 3% state of charge, 258 watt hour per mile. And this will be the last loop that Jordan and I do together. Basically, there's Alyssa right there. Perfect timing. Our rescue vehicle.
That thing looks so menacing from the rear with those Martian wheels, the 35 sticking out the side a little bit. What a beast of a machine.
One thing I will say with Tesla is we've received no warning, no indication, nothing about us being low on charge. You know, most cars ding at you, bong at you, get your attention. This just shows 3% right there, and it's up to you to get it. Whoa, Alyssa hit a big bump there. So now she'll be pulling in behind us. Love to see that. I'm going to jump in front of Jordan because I've been drafting off of him on this loop, and it's only fair to try and balance that out. You can see a little bit of power limit right there in this car already, but all good.
Easing back up on the highway here. Gonna let Kyle pass me one more time. So the car, I have the wrong turn signal on just to signal Kyle to go by, and the car tried to lane correct me from the other direction. That's actually kind of cool.
1% state of charge now in the older Model 3. I can see Jordan just right back there, and same with the Cybertruck right behind him. And Yeah, the car shows I have 4 kilowatt hours left. And because we're going to gain some uphill, we're going to go up pretty far, a few exits at least. And then we'll try and take advantage of some of the downhill on the way back. But yeah, this is all good. We'll be running it out so far. Not a beep, not a chime, not anything to let me know we can't make it. It just tried to slow down a little bit because it thought we were taking the exit, but just pushing a little bit of throttle right now till it realizes. There we go. Now we're good to go. And we get our first charging needed to reach destination, -3%. For Buckeye Road. I think we're going to go one past Buckeye Road because, again, we have, I don't know, just over 3.5 kilowatt hours left at this point.
I still have 21. I've got an hour of driving at least, I'm sure.
And there we have it, 0% state of charge. I'm actually going to go probably take this exit. Will I take this exit? Yeah, and then we'll loop to Owl if we need to. But I think this will be the exit to take. And because it's a pretty big distance from that one to the next one. So we'll take Buckeye Road, turn around, head south, and see how far we can go past 0. But 0%, 273 miles, 260 watt hour per mile, but it's still having no issue maintaining 70, and you can still see plenty of power availability. So we're going to keep pushing. We are driving, and because I'm using the filming phone to check ScanMyTesla, but we have 2.76 kilowatt hours remaining, and I think that'll be perfect. We'll try and die as close to the charger as possible to counteract any wind and elevation. But we could take the frontage road back, but I'm feeling pretty good. I think we'll at least take the highway back to Owl Road, which is the previous exit. Car, again, is showing no sign of performance degradation. We've got the Cyber right in behind us. Hopefully I packed the correct cables. I think I did, but you never know. Could be exciting. But roads are fairly empty, huge shoulders, all part of the fun. So yeah, we'll take this exit and then loop back towards the charger. Let's do it. So I'm leaving Jordan now. 0%, 260 watt hour per mile is what we can use for the efficiency comparison. And now we'll loop back to the charger. See you, Jordan. Enjoy the rest of the test and hoping for a big number out of the new long range.
Kyle just exited and I have 220 watt hours per mile at 278 miles. So I am continuing on with the extra 20% of my battery. That's crazy. So much more ground to cover. I'm really anxious to see what his buffer is like, but wow, 280 miles is what he's done so far, and I have at least 300 plus capable.
So while Jordan is heading up and continuing the range test of the new long range, we are way past 0% at this point, and we are perhaps on the leg where we will run out of juice. So let's see what happens. Again, no issues getting up to speed, no performance issues at gentle throttle. You can see we're way far away from our power limit, just getting up to 70 miles an hour, and it's an uphill, so this is pretty tough for batteries to do. Whoops, 72. Let's get down to 71. Maybe I'll hit 70 just so it drops a little bit more eagerly. There, lock it in. Autopilot on. Again, no indications, no chime, just this red little charging needed to get to destination. And I've turned off Trip Planner, so it wasn't trying to route me to chargers and preconditioning and all that stuff. We never allow the cars to precondition for our range tests. We have 1.2 kilowatt hours left in the battery pack, but there is a little bit more congestion up ahead, and you can see a little bit of roadworks with the right lane things going on here. So the next exit where we have to pull over is literally right down there. It's like 2 or 3 miles up the road. But we're going to basically loop back and forth here. But since it's still doing 70 miles an hour, I'm going to stay on the highway only because that's part of our procedure. We stay on the highway till it doesn't want to maintain 70 anymore, and then we will ride frontage roads.
Here we are back at the Buffalo again, which means back at the border again. I got to name this Buffalo. I see him so many times. I'm going to go with Bill. Buffalo Bill. The beautiful sunset over the Rockies out there, absolutely gorgeous. Looks like some rain over there, but nothing here, and the wind is also still not even here. It's crazy. We're in like a pocket of no wind, surrounded by wind in other regions, which is lovely. So this range test, we left thinking this would not be a good range test and we'd have to redo it, but it's turned out to be absolutely perfect. So yeah, passing Wyoming, still the same, like we've really settled into the 220-ish watt hours per mile efficiency, which is, yeah, I guess right about 4 point something miles per kilowatt hour.
ScanMyTesla indicates just half a kilowatt hour, 500 watt hours left in the battery pack. That should not be enough to get us to our exit. The power meter is coming down, but it's not crazy. And again, no indications that anything has happened, which is pretty funny. So 286 miles, 300 certainly is not possible, but 290, is that possible? What the heck? So these things really do have quite a bit of buffer at the bottom. I always say never rely on the buffer, because as vehicle packs age, as you drive them with more load, especially if you're towing, it can really cause the buffer at the bottom to do some weird things. I also calibrated this car just before we did the test. I did the battery health test in the system where I drained it to 0, charged it to full, and that helped calibrate the BMS as well, I'm hoping. So anyway, fingers crossed we make it to the exit, 2.5 miles. But so far, no issues maintaining highway speed. Okay, warning just popped up. Unable to drive. Battery charge level too low. That is the first warning. However, it is still maintaining 70 miles an hour. And it's still doing it on autopilot, might I add. And regen down. Wow, we are way at the bottom. So it still can do 70 miles an hour up to 290 miles. Now, thankfully, we can actually run 70 on the frontage road. It'll be safer. So we're going to do that allegedly. And, yep, I'll let you know when we actually die. I just know we're right at the bottom. And if I can choose to run out on the frontage road, I absolutely will prefer to do this. We've also used 75 kilowatt hours, of which the car said we were not able to. So that is full power. Wow, pretty good performance still. Let's get up the speed now. Speed limit's 75 here, which is great, so we can still run 70 here. So we're gonna do that. Hell yeah, just let you know what happens.
I've never seen this before. High energy consumption. Use navigation to see estimated battery level and ensure arrival. So I guess we're down at a low enough state of charge. Maybe it was like 50-ish miles when that popped up. I don't know, it's pretty subtle, but it just, yeah, never seen that. But it's basically saying, hey, your battery's low-ish, make sure you can get where you're going. So that's kind of cool. Good to see warning messages for people who are maybe oblivious to their car's state of charge, although I think most people would be charging by now. Over 4 hours is a long time to go between stops.
According to the buffer, we have 120 watt hours left in the car, and we are still moving at 70. All is good. Oh my goodness. When will it die? When will it die? Interestingly, ScanMyTesla has been locked at 0.12 kilowatt hour of buffer for a little while now. And so this is why we say never trust the data, because we have used certainly more than 0.12 or 120 watt hours driving at 70 miles an hour. The power meter is way down now. I would say we got probably another 500 watt hours there. The indicator's been at 76 kilowatt hours for some time, at least multiple miles. So I think it's going to come off 70 miles an hour here any moment. But time will tell. Certainly the perfect place to do it. Power meter's really cutting in. And it's done 295 miles still, so come on. Can we see 300 at 70? I doubt it with this much power left, but would be interesting. Dang, well, we made it back to where we looped around, so we're very close to the charger. But I think I'm going to make a U-turn again and have it die out on this frontage road, just because literally no one uses it. So we'll see if we even have enough performance to get up to speed to make a U-turn. Very gentle on the throttle now. I don't want to bottom brick it. I do want to spend as much time at 70 as possible. But right now, 296-ish would be the number. All right, so I think 296 is going to be the 70 mile per hour number. And now we just see how much juice we can pull out of it. Yep, I'm just going to cruise 50. It barely won't really go any faster than this. This is wide open. So 296 at 70 miles an hour.
Turning around here at I-80 interchange, but not actually jumping on it. Just doing the double loop-de-loop thing, which is nice. No actual stopping. And we'll jump back on I-25 south. The estimated state of charge on arrival is 4%, so we'll just do some more looping back closer to Wellington. But I didn't really want to go too far either direction up here. I don't know the exits super well, so Loops back near the charger is totally fine. That's basically what Kyle did also, so trying to make it relatively even, but heading back down to Wellington. We are turning around at 300 miles, nearly 299 miles, still 220 watt hours per mile. 420 is our total driving time.
So I'm just sitting wide open throttle to maintain 53 miles an hour, unable to drive. 52. It's slowing down. It's slowing down. Okay, so yep, we are definitely dying. I'm wide open throttle, 50. Interestingly, climate control still running. It doesn't shut it off. There we go. Something happened over there on that side of the screen. Shutting down. I've hit the hazard lights just to let Alyssa know what's going on. And now we'll find a safe place to pull over. There's a street right up here that I think we can coast to. So 298, will it hit? It's so close to 300. Holy smokes, so close to 300. But it's just no power's coming out. It's not doing anything. It's actually not even regenning. So I will friction brake it to here, and this is where we will end it to charge. Boom. And the battery contactor just went. It won't go into drive or reverse. Climb it off. There we go. 257 watt hour per mile, 298 miles. Let's get it charging as soon as possible. Well, we found a nice little spot to pull right here. Alyssa's gonna back the Cybertruck down. She's going very carefully, very slowly. And we will plug it in, get it juicing as soon as possible. And then if anyone wants to buy a used Tesla Model 3, this is going back to Tesla off lease, by the way. The battery's totally fine, especially if we get it charging as soon as possible. Good, Alyssa, great. Let's open up the tonneau here a little bit. There we go. And we have all the cables we need. Oh yeah. Howdy. So we've got the outlets on in the truck and we're in. Hell yeah. Nice work. Outlets on. Car says ready to charge. It's communicating. And it is charging slowly, but we are getting there. And you'll see the voltage sag of the Cybertruck is pretty strong. As it comes off load or comes on load, you'll see like we're at 240 volts or so now. Once it ramps up to 32 amps, it really gets down. However, because this one's so dead, it may take a little while to juice up. So very typical of Teslas to only pull, very, very little power when they're completely dead, and then it will ramp up in a bit. This is where I wish I had the DC charger on the generator, because this does take a little while. But of course, we're happy to have the Cybertruck and do this. We were planning to use the Lucid as well and have Danny or Zach drive the Lucid and pick up Jordan so we could charge both, because Lucid has power, whatever they call it. Can't remember the name, but it won't work on the Lucid for some reason. They think we have the wrong part.
Oh, ye of little faith. I am almost too far, but not actually too far. Don't need any chargers, thank you. It's actually climbed from 4% now to 6% arrival in Wellington. So definitely more looping will be required. Probably more than I was even hoping for. So I will be taking this into probably some of the darker hours of the night. Not full darkness. We still have maybe 20 minutes till sunset, but I will be driving for definitely more than 20 minutes. That's just to get back to Wellington. Another warning. All known chargers will be out of range soon. Doesn't it know I'm driving towards a charger? Plus that's jumped now to 7%. So it originally said 4, now it's estimating 7. So the route planner is overly optimistic, although it could be, and it probably is, assuming I'm going 75 or even 80, whereas I'm actually going 71. So that actually does make sense. So maybe I should have gone even further north, but either way, we'll just keep looping back down here, and I don't mind that anyways, avoiding some of the elevation gain after leaving Wellington. So sunset setting in nicely. Really, this whole drive setting in nicely. We've done over 300 miles, which is what some of you guessed on Twitter. I always like to ask on Twitter what you guys assume the cars will do. Many people said 300 or less. We're now here at 314. Still kicking. There they are. I just saw them as I was driving by, and I've still got juice to burn. 215 watt hours per mile. This is just so good. 323 miles, still 8%. Which, according to the car, is saying 26 miles. That's maybe conservative as well, because Kyle did go a bit below 0. So I'm, yeah, for sure gonna hit EPA easily, probably much further.
Boom, and about 10-15 minutes after it died, we are now up to full power. Love to see it. Now we've got 7 kilowatts going into this thing. So we're just gonna let it charge until it looks like Jordan's about to run out. We're really, really close to the charging station. So we'll just get, I don't know, 1 or 2 kilowatt hours in this thing and bring it over to the DC charger and then go rescue Jordan.
All right, turning around, we got 213 watt hours per mile at this turnaround, which is actually probably the best we've seen yet. That is so close to 5 miles per kilowatt hour, and 330 miles at the turnaround point. 30 miles now past the other Model 3. Now we're back at the annoying stoplight, probably for the last time, because I did notice there's like a 1 lane closed right up here for a little bit, so we had to drop speed just a hair for a bit, so gonna avoid that on the next looping. There we go, passing them again. Still charging. So it is saying I could, well, a second ago it said stay below 65 miles an hour to reach my destination, which I said was Wellington. Now it's saying charging needed to reach destination. Still saying 0%. I know I can go below 0. Oh, there we go. Stay below 65. So it's kind of on the precipice. I'm not even going all the way back to Wellington. So doing another loop right here, 3 miles till I exit, which should be about 2 to 3%. And then we'll head back to the Owl Canyon exit, which is near where Kyle and Alyssa are. That's probably when I'll jump on maybe the frontage roads. We'll see. Checking pack voltage. Seems like each cell is still at or above 3. And I know Kyle ran it down to the high 2s, like 2.7-ish per cell for the lowest voltage. So we'll see how far down we get, also eating into the buffer as well. There we go, we just passed EPA. Look at that, 343 miles. I think EPA was 341, 342, something like that. And 215 watt hours per mile. We are turning around here at the car exit. There's no services, so people are wondering why I'm turning around or why I'm exiting. But we are at 2% state of charge, and we have, it says 3.5 kilowatt hours left according to ScanMyTesla in the buffer. It was about 4.8 like usable or something like that. So we still have some room to work with. Easing off here, and fortunately we can just kind of jump right back on the highway. No traffic. That's the beauty of doing these tests out here in the middle of essentially nowhere.
Alyssa, we've been here for just about 30 minutes and we've put in, you know, the Tesla took a while to get off the ground, but I think we have just enough range to get it back to the charger with some buffer. We have over 2.5 kilowatt hours in the battery pack according to remaining. So Jordan is just about to hit 0%. I think he's at 2%. So I say we should shuttle this down to the charger and then go rescue Jordan. Sound good? It says 0 kilowatt hours, but I clearly know we've put multiple kilowatt hours into this thing. Let's see if it'll even turn on. I'm hoping it will. Cable back in the truck. Boom. We've gotten a long extension cord if we need it. Don't usually recommend it. Tonneau closed, and let's see if she'll start up and go into gear. She's on. She's into gear. Okay, let's keep lighting. We don't need fogs. We're gonna go most efficient. We do need headlights. It's about that time. And let's just go shuttle over to the charger. 298 miles, 77 kilowatt hours used. All right, off we go to the charger. Man, that is very convenient having a mobile power station.
All right, we just hit 0% state of charge on the highway, still feeling strong. 350 miles exactly, over 5 hours of driving, 214 watt hours per mile, which is, like I said, almost 5 miles per kilowatt hour. 200 would be 5, so we're looking at high 4s. So better than a Lucid, at least the Grand Touring, maybe not the Pure, but this is pretty impressive. It's still showing in ScanMyTesla about a little less than half a kilowatt hour before we hit the buffer, and then we eat into the buffer, I guess. And then the cell voltage at the low level is 3 volts. We're dipping below 3 right as I'm filming this, most likely. So just gonna keep going about 4 miles till I exit onto Owl Canyon, and that's when we'll do kind of a last little loop scenario, probably on frontage roads. We'll see. But yeah, 350 miles. We'll see how far past 350 we go, which is when we hit 0. All right, we are jumping off the highway right as we are hitting 5 miles past zero before the construction up there. This is when we can hit the frontage roads. 5 miles past zero, I'm guessing we have at least another 10 or so because we are now in the buffer zone. So we've fully depleted what's considered, I guess, usable, but then again, the BMS down low may not be fully calibrated, so we're just going to keep driving until we die, I guess. So frontage road, which is where we can actually still hit 70 miles an hour, which is pretty great. So we will jump on that and see how far we can go beyond zero.
Oh yeah, no issues making it over here. It's thinking, it's about to juice. There we go. Let's rock and roll, get that big power in this thing now. So yeah, that was awesome. That really worked out great, and having this thing on hand was extremely helpful. Way easier than hooking it up to the trailer, which takes a few minutes anyway. It really isn't a time crunch. And yeah, we're already doing 100 plus kilowatts right there. Boom. Love to see it.
All right, according to ScanMyTesla, we have half a kilowatt hour left, if that, into the buffer, or in the buffer, I should say. And the bottom pack voltage is about 2.7. And we have super limited power, still holding 71 though, 366 miles in. Just gonna keep going for now.
All right, well, I charged that up to 10%, so it's at least happy sitting there. And now we're gonna go get Jordan because he's been at 0% for a while. So let's go rescue Jordan.
All right, so we just got to where I don't know if I can handle 70 miles an hour anymore. The car now says unable to drive, battery charge level too low, and that's at 370 miles. That's 20 miles past zero, where I'm finally not able to keep highway speeds. I'm still gonna keep going. The screen is not flashed red or anything scary yet, so in my eyes, we're still good. We'll just keep driving. I'm heading up back to the Owl Canyon exit, which is probably near where Kyle and Alyssa will rescue me. And oh yeah, losing significant power now. I mean, I guess we are kind of on a hill, so that may be why. That is wild. So those are the stats of the 70 mile an hour portion of this. 370 miles, 213 watt hours per mile, and that is right about 4.7 miles per kilowatt hour, which is really good. Better than I expected. I was rooting for 5, like a magic number like that, but just not quite there. But that would be interesting to see if we could get any of these Model 3s to do 5 miles per kilowatt hour at highway speeds. But we are getting up to the exit, still have a little bit of juice left. You can see just how reduced the power meter is. That is the bottom of its capability. And ScanMyTesla has the battery capacity at 000, like nothing's left of the buffer even. So of course, we don't know exactly how accurate the BMS was down low, but I am still moving, so we're just going to keep driving. There we go. That's the warning we were expecting. Pull over safely. We are donezo. The only bummer is there's nothing immediately right here. I felt fine power until right after I passed it, so we're done. Now to figure out a safe place to pull over. The Cybertruck's right behind me, so we do have a, bright lit vehicle to keep us safe, but we are just about done. Wow. Yeah, no power left, no more regen. It threw on the flashes for me. I didn't even touch those, so I guess we're gonna charge this thing up, get it back to the charger. All right, pull over safely, charge immediately. Everything's flashing red. That's how we know we are totally done. So time to charge this thing up off the Cybertruck. And wow, making sure all loads are off, no AC, nothing's running. And the final stats, if you care, the last 2 miles didn't really count. Electrical system unable to support all features, switching off features, vehicle shutting down, everything's happening. That's pretty cool. The car automatically killed ambient lighting. It lowered the brightness of the screen. It did turn the flashes on, but I just turned them off because the Cybertruck is behind us. Yep.
Check this out. Got the cable right here, sir.
Kyle's got the mobile charging solutions. I don't know what we call it, but
it's a new service that Out of Spec is about to start doing.
Yep.
Except we need really way more than 7 kilowatts.
We should charge by the hour when we do this.
So it went red. Everything's off, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's done.
I'm just going to get some of this cable out of the street. What I'm really curious about now is, will it actually start charging? So take a look to see what it shows, because mine just sat at, pulling basic vehicle loads for a little while.
Yeah.
Also, your home screen, I think, is different than the other one.
Really?
Yeah, it might be different processors.
Yep.
So yeah, you're doing 6 amps. I was doing 4.
Okay.
You have ambient lighting.
It turned off ambient lighting a second ago automatically.
Oh, that's smart. Really
Yeah,
got you that extra 2 feet.
Yeah, it said killing everything. I said, okay.
It said killing everything?
Well, it didn't say that, but it said taking off any unnecessary loads, including the ambient lighting. Yeah.
Mine didn't say that at all.
Yeah, so it did the flashes automatically. It killed the ambient lighting. It lowered the brightness on the screen.
Well, I had the flashers on mine ahead of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, this was 70 until like just a second ago.
Yeah, no, they run full speed right to the end.
That's awesome.
So what'd you get?
370 at 70.
370
At 70.
Oh my god.
And then we dipped down, so the last 2 miles was
Same for me. 2
couldn't quite
miles
hold it.
below
Yep.
70. Jordan, time to do some calculations.
Okay, math at
All
midnight.
right. So the big question is, how much farther? Well, first of all, let's look at the stats. I pulled 77 kilowatt hours on the screen out of my car.
Right.
And there's always some heat loss. So with these, we usually say 78, but whatever. I was on the very low side of 77
Right.
because it was sitting at 76 kilowatt hours used for a long time.
Yep.
Your car says 79 kilowatt hours. So were you at 79 for a while?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
So I think you were probably on the mid to high side of 79.
Yeah.
So like we expected, about maybe less than 3 kilowatt hour difference actually. The BMS in Colton's car could have been off a little bit.
Right.
But just around 3 kilowatt hours were, evaporated with the 30,000 miles of use on Colton's car.
Yep.
If we were to assume we had the same battery capacity in both cars, my Model 3, the one I was driving, would have done 310 miles, assuming it was fresh.
Right.
Given the consumption based off of what you pulled off this car.
Yep.
So if we look at like for like, the actual range difference between the old car and the new car, it's 60 miles at 70 miles an hour.
Yep.
And that's not factoring in the coasting 2 miles. That is the 70 mile per hour range test difference. So somehow Tesla got 60 miles of highway range out of a vehicle with the same motors, presumably, and the exact same battery pack. How is that? I mean, yes, it's a redesign, new wheels, new tires, but dude, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, I do think tires have an effect. Obviously, the drag coefficient. They've improved just everything. Like, this is a really impressive second version of the Model 3 without having to redesign all the crazy components like the motors and battery.
And we should mention the tires that are on Colton's car, he never really used them. They have just a few thousand miles, I think, because he always ran aftermarket wheels and tires.
Right.
So it literally was as close as we could get there.
Yeah, that's just so impressive. I'm
Holy
really
smokes.
impressed with this car.
This car might be, I called it the best car in the world, right?
Right.
For a general consumer when it went on sale. Now it definitely is. And now how much further would removing the front motor make it go? That's what we need to see in the long range rear drive.
Yeah.
I'm trying to convince Jordan to get one.
It's such, I don't
know why he wouldn't.
I don't know.
I told him I'd pay for it, and he's still hesitating. So everyone, convince Jordan to go for the Model 3.
It's a killer car. I mean, I still think LFP is intriguing too, but having this much range is so relaxing. Like, that's why I
Imagine
think
you could have more range.
spending now 6,000 miles in the Lucid, I'm like, this is amazing. I
Yeah,
could just
range
go
is nice.
anywhere. And I
Dude.
do get where Andreas is coming from. So Andreas, you bought a great car.
Yeah, did you text him at all? What does he think?
Oh yeah, he said incredible.
Of course. So, dude, that's amazing. 370 miles of range. I'm thrilled with that result.
It beat EPA. I always post on Twitter, what does everyone guess? And all the guesses were like 300.
and I guessed 344. I think.
A few were low 300s. No
Yeah.
one guessed over 350, I don't think.
Wow.
So,
and it did 370.
370.
Holy smokes.
I drove for an hour after you died.
Well, shout out to the old car too, doing
Yeah.
almost 300.
Yep.
It's 3 years old. 3 years old almost to the day, by the way.
Wow.
I checked the birthday in the car.
Yeah.
I think Colton's returning it a bit early
Okay.
because it said it was built on September 18th of 2021.
Right.
At least in the car, that's what it thinks its birthday is.
ScanMyTesla, yeah.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Tesla. The results, of course, we have to publish what we got. So the long-range rear drive of the previous gen gets 298 on the website, even though if we extrapolate out the data, it should have done 310 on a fresher car.
Yeah.
If we find a fresher car, we'll run it. We'll get the higher number, hopefully, but we have to post what we got.
Yep.
And this car, of course, this is the perfect mileage for when we like to test them. And
this is not a fresh one either, I should note, like 6,000 miles now, so it's not perfectly fresh. It's still...
It's probably 1 kilowatt hour down.
Something like that, yep.
Yeah, but even we're close enough, 370 miles. Shout out to Tesla for really doing a significant range increase. They told us 7% improvement.
Yep.
When the car launched. It's more than that. And, you know, maybe Colton's car wasn't the 2023 to 2024, right? You know what I mean? His was 2021. There could have been other improvements, but not that I know of.
Not many, no. It's just so good. So
that was a fun video, Jordan.
Yep.
Really didn't take that long. After the Lucid, everything feels short.
I still feel like it was a bit long, but I guess I was 5 hours, 15 minutes of driving at 70 for me.
Mine just flew by. It was awesome. I just put on the Smoking Tire podcast and chilled.
Nice.
Yeah, Matt really liked the Model 3 performance. That was a surprise.
Yeah.
He's. I agree with, you know, all of his Model 3 performance comments. Said it was great. Drift machine. I'm like, hell yeah. Can't wait to get it on track. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you on another one again soon. Shout out to Tesla for really improving the car. Thanks to Jordan for helping. I guess it's your video, so I'll let you end it.
All right. Finally started ramping up after we've been sitting here for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, doing the full 7 kilowatts off the Cybertruck. Absolutely perfect way for us to do these tests. And so we'll just sit here for a little bit, get maybe a kilowatt hour or so. We're really close to the charger. And then we'll hop on the DC fast charger for some proper juice.